On one side, a team that's never before been in a World Cup semi-final. On the other, a team which has never before won a World Cup semi-final in any format in over 3 decades of trying. One way or the other, we are destined to get a first-time Men's World Cup finalist. So let's build up to semi-final 1 of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. It's South Africa versus Afghanistan in Taruba on Maruti Suzuki Arena. Presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout, powered by DishTV. Watch show. We have the company of Sanjay, Manjrekar and Dasgupta to set up semi-final 1 for us. A semi-final that almost no one in the world could have called before the tournament, and it sets us up for what can be a very fascinating battle.
It would be. Obviously, I mean, South Africa, I could have imagined, and I had them as one of the semi-finalists, but Afghanistan obviously wasn't part of my, at least, thought process. But yeah, it promises to be a really, really interesting one and a good one.
You mentioned after South Africa got over the line against West Indies that they look like one of the more unconvincing teams to make the semi-final. Is that something you stand by still? Is there a flip side that this puts South Africa in the rare territory that they're at least getting the wins that they usually didn't before at World Cups?
But I don't think they're winning those, close matches because of extraordinary temperament. I think they are making those matches close because of nerves and a bit of anxiety as well. So ability-wise, South Africa, there's no comparison when you look at the power game and the speeds of the fast bowlers. But temperamentally, Afghanistan is superior in this contest. So it's going to be a clash of temperaments where Afghanistan will emerge stronger, but then actual physical skills of batting and bowling, I think that's where South Africa might just be the better team and Afghanistan will be tested.
That's a great point. If you think about it, end of the day, and we keep talking about these big games to be, it's all about the mind, it's all about the temperament and mentality. And that's where it's important from Afghanistan point of view, they play fearless cricket, they've got nothing to lose, they've achieved more than what a lot of people would have thought of them this World Cup. South Africa on the other side, there has always been expectations, and how they manage those expectations, and even in this game, chances are they'll go into this game as favorites for a lot of people, right? So how they manage those expectations, and again, this boils down to that same question again: are they temperamentally strong enough at this point in time?
It's going to be very interesting. We'll finally come to know what is more important, temperament or actual skills, because ability-wise, there's no comparison. Temperamentally, Afghanistan is superior. Will that get them to win the semi-finals? We'll find out.
But aren't they interconnected? I mean, if you're strong temperamentally, you can under pressure.
I'm just talking about physical skills,
Yeah.
Because a lot of people believe talent is also your mental strength. I'm talking about the actual physical skills of a Klassen who will get 25 runs and over. No Afghani batter perhaps is qualified or has the ability to do that.
While we're on this, given all the vagaries of this tournament, is it entirely plausible that for the first time, you could very well have a champion team which doesn't have to be convincing by broad metrics and doesn't necessarily have to check all the boxes throughout the tournament?
That's why I'm not a big fan of net run rate. As long as you win, you win. You prove to be the better side, and how good the win is or how poor the win is. And South Africa have had some poor wins, but they've won matches, they haven't lost, so that should count for something. So you're right. In a way, it's allowed the lesser teams also to compete, and in that way, strangely enough, the T20 World Cup in the US and West Indies with 20 teams has given us a lot of memories. But to answer your question, winning convincingly is something that not too many teams have managed, barring maybe India. Australia's loss to Afghanistan shows that even the best could have an off day in the US and the West Indies, but not maybe in India. You would not expect Afghanistan to beat Australia in ideal conditions.
You've seen clear templates from both these sides so far. Afghanistan have preferred to bat first, put up decent totals, and then apply the choke hold, no pun intended, to South African fans. And South Africa themselves, while they've won every game, their chasing wins have been a bit more stuttering than when they batted first. Does that then mean that there is an outright advantage to whichever side bats first?
Yes, and if you look at both these sides, and anyways, in semi-final, finals of big tournaments, you would want to bat first, set the tone. score on the board and stuff like that. And also, if you look at South Africa and Afghanistan, let's start with South Africa. Historically, they haven't been great chasers, so they would want to bat first. They're a lot more at home or at ease when they're batting first. Then Afghanistan, obviously, yes, their strength by far is their bowling. So even if they bat first and get maybe even 10 runs less than par, they have the bowling power, and that's what they've been doing all this while. If you look at all their big wins, as most of them have come batting first and then defending that total. So won't be surprised at all if both the teams would want to bat first.
I'm not a believer of on the big stage put the runs on the board, because when you look at a lot of World Cup finals teams chasing have won. The recent one was India, batting first, not getting enough, Australia chasing that. Night games, I continue to stick with a belief, a strong belief that I have is that when you're batting second, you have some inherent advantages because of the conditions. And why not use that? Afghanistan, though, because it's a team that has severe limitations, would want to bat first and continue with the winning template. South Africa could do whatever.
But going back to what you brought up about South Africa's temperament, does chasing start challenging that temperament a bit more?
See, there is a chance that against West Indies as well, things went in their favor. It started raining, things got easier. It allowed them to eventually beat West Indies, and Marco Jansen with that 6, managed to get over the line. So I'm thinking night game, batting second, always an advantage. Why let go of that? And by wanting to bat first against Afghanistan, will also send a wrong message to begin with that, but you might, South Africa, the way they think defensively a lot. It's not a team like Australia that will go positive in a game. So they might want to bat first, but I stick to what I believe, and it's something that I've seen over the years on numerous occasions. The batting second is always an advantage, and I don't believe with this thinking of runs on the board in the big match.
Now, as far as conditions go, we've learnt enough from this World Cup to not ask too many predictive questions. What we can tell you is that Aruba has had quite a range of scores in its limited history as an international venue, and Darren Ganga, who's been a friend of the show through this World Cup, tells us that 155 to 160 should be the par total. Make of that what you may. Now, focusing on Afghanistan and their batting, it's been pretty much Rahmanullah Gurbaz and Ibrahim Zadran and nothing else. How much of a challenge can it be for them if they were to lose one or both of them early on in their innings?
And that is their, not just a weakness, it's a massive weakness. And there is a chance it could be a one-sided game only because of that. We saw in the last game, although Rahmanullah Gurbaz has been the star, he almost lost the game for his side against Bangladesh. So not much of batting there. Omar Zai is contributing a little, but Gulbuddin Naib hasn't come to the party. Mohammad Nabi continues to sort of be in the team but not contribute much. Rashid Khan is the dangerous batter that they've got in the side. So that is a big weakness that they'll carry into the semi-finals.
Yeah, the numbers make it just so glaring what this mismatch is. You look at Gurbaz and Ibrahim, they've added 442 runs as a partnership, and all other Afghanistan partnerships together have added 512 runs in this tournament.
They haven't given them the opportunity as well. They've just batted too long sometimes.
That's fair. That's fair. But
what
has
I'm just
happened,
playing the devil's advocate.
But what has happened a lot of times is that Afghanistan have been in much stronger positions and then not finished with a high enough total. You can think of the game against Australia, 118 for no loss, became 148 for 6. There were other games earlier in the tournament as well, where these two batted the bulk of the overs, but after that, nothing came. That
True, that's the obvious and glaring weakness, is that middle order batting-wise. Do they have the talent? Yes. Gulbuddin Naib, you mentioned Omar Zai, Naib, all these guys, even Nazibullah. He's over the years, he's been a really good middle order batter for Afghanistan, somebody they could depend on, but obviously they haven't fired that middle order at all. So that is obviously, like you rightly mentioned, if there any possibility of this game being one-sided, would be to get those two openers early, and then it becomes a really tough one for Afghanistan.
It's also, yes, the batters haven't contributed down the order, but when you have openers consuming a lot of overs, that tends to happen as well. Happens to Pakistan when they have Rizwan and Babar Azam who feel that they've got to take the responsibility because there's no depth in their batting. and that batting depth never gets an opportunity as well. So when they come into bat, there are few overs left. They're short of confidence, so it sort of adds up.
There's the added factor of Gurbaz having gone off the field with a knee injury against Bangladesh. He is their top run scorer. Were he to miss this match, is that
He's not going to miss it. Come on, semi-final of a World Cup and Afghanistan.
It looked really bad though.
Yeah.
And runners not allowed. But you're right. They might find some magic jadi booty
injection
from
or something. There are not too many jadi booties.
Yeah, and he might just go to his template of not running a lot, hit boundaries.
Yeah.
Make the most of it.
Would help him actually.
Now, if we shift our attention to South Africa, for them, Quinton de Kock came to the party in the Super 8s after a very quiet opening phase of the tournament. They do have middle order batters who have some runs behind them, but still de Kock and how he operates in the power play becomes key to the kind of total South Africa can pose, especially given that trial by spin that awaits later.
Yeah, Quinton de Kock has been interesting. He's got one innings, where he showed the what he's all about, and then in the next game got 20 and got out. I think the main reason for the inconsistency of Quinton de Kock is one, that he's not the player he was 4 years back, and the fact that the West Indian pitches aren't ideal for somebody like a Quinton de Kock who plays the high-risk game, loves the ball coming out of the bat. The pickup shots and everything is reliant on the ball being on a predictable path, and that hasn't happened, and that's why the consistency is missing. In fact, when you look at that whole lineup, no one really has been consistent. David Miller has contributed down the order in the close games and got a 20 not out to win. Klaasen hasn't quite fired. Reza Hendricks has been a problem. Tristan Subs 1 or 2 innings. So that is the South African thing, isn't it? Their batting in these conditions hasn't really reached its full potential.
When you look into de Kock's numbers over the last couple of years, his numbers specifically against right-arm pacers reveal something interesting. While he's dominated them when they bowl over the wickets, right-arm pacers have troubled de Kock a fair bit when they bowl around the wickets. Now that is one of Naveen ul Haq's go-to lines of attack when he bowls to left-handers. It sets up as a key matchup at the start of the South African innings.
100% yes, and also there are specific kind of right-arm medium pacers who would trouble Quinton de Kock a little more. Somebody whose action falls onto the other side and kind of darts them in. So once they go round the wicket, so the angle, actually the natural angle, takes it towards him into the left-hander, but the angle of the release of the ball takes it away. So as a batter, you're thinking, am I going to play the angle coming in or the ball going out? So I think that makes it that much more difficult, whether it's, let's say, Quinton de Kock, Warner, against bowlers like Naveen ul Haq, Bumrah, whose actions like fallen apart kinds, So that makes it that much more difficult for left-handers. And obviously, I mean, if you look at Naveen ul Haq, he's been bowling well as well. And if the pitch is on the slower side, he's got good variations as in pace of delivery.
So they've got the right speed to make it difficult for quality batters. Rohit Sharma, when did he find his form? Was when there was speed on the ball and there was pace and bounce. Imagine Rohit Sharma in that particular inning playing against Naveen ul Haq and a Fazal Haq Farooqi wouldn't have got that kind of a flying start. So sometimes pace and bounce helps, and these guys have the right speed and the right bounce as well to make things difficult.
All right, final question. This has been a question that's followed South Africa when it comes to their selection. Shamsi or Bartman? Who's the better pick for this game?
I'd go with Shamsi. Bartman, yeah, I mean, he picked up 4 wickets in one of the games, but never looked convincing, especially that last game that he played, bowled 5 full tosses in that 18th over or 17th over, whatever it was. So yeah, Shamsi brings you that X factor. I know he can go for plenty of runs, but end of the day, wrist spinner, left arm wrist spinner, always a wicket taking option.
Yeah, pitch that is slow if it's turning, and imagining Afghanistan batters down the order, I think Shamsi will be a better option than Bartman. Will be a little easier for the Afghani batters. Plus, this guy gets picked and gets the Player of the Match award. It would be a travesty to drop him again, hoping for a Player of the Match award in the finals. What if they don't go to the finals? So yeah, Shamsi.
All right, final question. Prediction. Who are we backing?
South Africa, but the way South Africa has come into the semi-finals and with Afghanistan, the way they have come, into the semis. It's going to be a very good game. I'm looking forward to it, but in the end, got to say South Africa.
See, quality-wise, talent-wise, South Africa, but do they have that mindset? That's the big question. If you just look at quality, you'd say South Africa, overall, batting, bowling and everything else. But Afghanistan on a slow pitch, which we are expecting it to be, on a spin-friendly pitch, can be extremely difficult. This is the best, I guess, opportunity for someone like Afghanistan, a team like Afghanistan, to play the finals.
Also, one final comment is that Afghanistan have the best player in this match, as in from both sides, in Rashid Khan.
Yeah.
As captain, as bowler, as batter as well. So that is one, huge factor in the semi-finals.
All right. Sanjay Manjrekar, Deep Dasgupta, thank you so much for setting up semi-final number 1 for us. Promises to be an intriguing contest. Whoever does win will go through to their first ever Men's World Cup final.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
वॉचो ऐप पे देखो एक OTT के दाम पे सारे OTT शान से।
Watch